Hello, everybody. Happy Tuesday. We are together again. Some of you took my Saturday class where we made that fun little Christmas tree card. We had a blast, and it just kind of kicked off our season. So if you missed that, it is on YouTube now. We had a lot of fun. We're going to be making some other really fun Christmas crafts in December on Sunday. So I hope that some of you will join me there. As Chanel said, my name is Elizabeth. I am in Charlotte, North Carolina, and I'm a teacher. So I love teaching these classes. Today we are making a fox family. So I'm going to show it to you. Let's see, here we go. Switch my cameras. And we are making this cute little fox family or fox friends, however you want to decide, however many. You could have a whole fox orchestra if you wanted to. It depends on how many you're going to make. So we're going to be making these origami foxes, and we would love to see your final product, your final project. So if you would please tag us or have your adult tag us at Learn with Michaels, and let me see too at La Cozy Casita. And these are on Instagram, or you could find us on all of the other places with those same handles. Let's see, we are going to jump right into the supply list. And if you have all of your supplies already, please let us know in the Q&A where you are joining us from and how old you are. We'd love to give shout outs, especially when, we have a little extra time. Chanel loves to do those for us. And so I would love to hear who's joining us, where you're tuning in from, and how old you are. That really helps me out as your teacher. So let's go ahead and go over the supplies. We move these out of the way. Okay, if you have a Creatology craft case, I'm going to be pulling some supplies from this case, but if you do not, that's okay. Don't worry. But from my Creatology craft case, I found my googly eyes. So you're going to use those. You're going to take out your glue. This is just good old school glue. I have a bigger bottle of it, so I'm going to be using my bigger bottle of school glue. And your scissors from the case you'll be using as well. Now we're also going to be making little noses. So if you do not want to use a paper nose on your fox, you don't want to draw out a paper nose, you can most certainly use the pom-poms out of the case, or even some of these foam circles. That's totally fine too. So I'm going to be using paper today, but we always like to give some alternative or alternate supplies that you can use just in case you're missing some things, because you can still craft even if you don't have all of the supplies. We're also using black paper and white paper, and a glue stick, a pencil and a ruler, and of course, origami paper. If you don't have origami paper, you can use construction paper. It's just a little thicker. So I'll be using origami paper tonight. So I'm going to use a red just because that's what I chose for the foxes. Let me use this little flowery one. That one's cute. Make them a little different than what I have. And maybe I'll use a solid red fox. And the pink, you go ahead and choose whichever colors you want to use. You can make your foxes any color. Some of my origami paper is printed. Some of it's solid. Just use what you have. The other thing that I would like you to grab, we talked about the eyes and the nose and how you could use pom-poms. But the other thing I would like you to grab, if you have it, is a circle punch. If you don't have a circle punch, look for something around your house. Like coins work great here. You're going to use them as a template. So if you're going to make an eye, you will just trace the coins. So this would be, a penny and a quarter, or You could use a dime on the little ones. So those are all good tracing tools. You could also use a cap, a water bottle cap. Those are all good things. So just look for something round around your house if you don't have a circle punch that you could use for the eyes and the nose. Okie doke. So let's see who is here, Chanel.
All right, we have Kinley from California, who is 10. Our friend Aubrey is back. She's from Palm Beach Gardens, Florida. She's 16, but she actually turned 17 this month.
Happy birthday. Aubrey's a regular. I love it.
We have Chloe from Texas. She is also 10. We have Layla from Chicago. She is 8. And then we have Luke from Connecticut.
Ooh, welcome, friends. Some of those places are pretty chilly by now, I bet.
We also have Avira from New Jersey.
Oh, hey, Vera. That's a new name we haven't heard before. Welcome. Okay, well, I'm happy you are all here. Let's go ahead and get started. And as you have time, go ahead and write it in the Q&A because we're going to be making the same project 4 times. So we will have some extra time for shout outs this time. Okay. All righty. If you have any questions about supplies, please let us know. We'll be happy to answer those for you.
We had a couple more jump in if you want me to go ahead and read those off as well.
Please do.
We have Boss Queen EJ. She's a teacher from Boquete, Panama.
Cool. Wow, that's awesome.
Catherine from California, who is 7. Autumn from Texas, she's 10. Logan, 6 from Middleton. Caleb, 6 from Tennessee. We have Uli here. Finn and Theo, 7 and 4 from New Mexico. I think they're regulars too, actually.
Cool.
And then Brian from New York, 6 years old.
Oh, I love hearing where you're from. It's so cool to see that we're all joining together at the same time to make a craft and you're all tuning in from all different kinds of states. That's so cool. Welcome, welcome. All right, let's go ahead and get started. You can grab your first paper, whatever you want to use. I'm going to be using this printed pink paper. You can decide whatever you want to use. It can be red, pink, orange, black, green, whatever you want. It's your project. Okay, so we are going to start by so origami is a square. It's a square paper, okay? So if you're using construction paper, I don't know if everybody is using origami or construction paper, but if you're using construction paper, just make sure that you are starting out with the square first. So the way to do that is just by folding one side of your paper to the next, like that, kind of making a triangle, cut that off, and that will give you a square. Easy peasy. Okay? So just I like to say, put your paper like a hamburger or a hot dog. So long ways is the hot dog, up and down is the hamburger. You're going to bring your bottom corner over to the left side and make a nice straight line. And now just cut off that part. When you open it, you'll have your square. Okay? Just so you're starting out while we're in the same spot that we're starting out. And if you miss anything, like Chanel said, this will be uploaded to our YouTube channel. And so you will have that there as well. Okay, so let's go ahead and start by turning our square kind of on a diamond shape. And then you are going to bring the top corner all the way down to the bottom corner. Okay, so you're going to go all the way down until you match. Just like that. And then you're going to fold. So make your match and then make your fold. Okay. You can see that mine's not perfectly aligned. If that bothers you, you can make yours perfectly aligned. I feel like it's not going to make a huge difference for the craft that we're making today. But if you're making something very fancy out of our origami, it could. So, but for what we're doing, that's okay. Okay, so now I am going to fold it one time. I'm going to bring my right side over to my left side. Just like this. And I'm just matching the two corners. So corner to corner. Make my corners match. And now I'm pressing down again. Okay. Now open it back up to your upside down triangle. Okay. So that was just an easy step, right? This first round, I'm going to go a little bit slower, but after that, we'll start rocking and rolling. Okay, so now this is the trickiest part, and it's not even that tricky. But what you're going to do is just put your finger in between the paper here. And what we're going to do is we're going to create a fold. Okay, so why don't you watch just real quick, just so you can see what we're doing, because this is a tricky-ish part. You are going to bring this line, and I'll do it again. This line, the top layer of paper, not the bottom, just the top. And you're going to match it to this line right here. Okay, so this line is going to match this line, and it's just the top paper. So I've got my finger in between, and I'm bringing it up. And I'm matching the outside line of the paper to the middle part. And I'm creating a fold right here. Okay, so that's the fox's ear right there. Isn't that cute? Okay, so I'll show you again. Here we are. We started with our diamond. We folded down, and now we have an upside down triangle. We folded one more time. We brought our right to our left. We folded and opened back up. Now we put our finger in between the paper here, and we're folding. We're bringing this outside line to this middle fold. You can do it. If your paper folds up on you, just be patient. Careful not to tear it. Just gently kind of push inside. And then you can make your crease. You're not going to fold down this part, okay? If you fold down this part, you won't have your poofy ear, okay? All right, now let's go over to this side. We're going to do the same thing. Put your finger between the two papers. You see that? My finger's between. Keep the bottom paper down, and we're going to fold up. We're going to bring this side of the paper to meet the crease in the middle of the triangle. Okay, now you have to kind of just finagle it a little bit. It's better to start down here at the opening if your paper gives you a little trouble. Just kind of finagle it a little, because sometimes it'll crease on you. Just fold it. I'm going to turn it. I think the second fold is trickier than the first fold. So if you need to turn your fox, you can do that just so you can get a better angle. And then just gently push on the inside. And remember, we don't need to fold this part down. If you already did, no big deal. There we have it. Okay, so our next part is to take our glue stick, and we're going to glue our fox. Now, for my little guys who might not use glue all the time, remember, you're just going to roll up your glue just the tiniest bit. Just a tiny bit, just to say, peekaboo, just a tiny bit. Not a whole bunch. If you roll it out this much, you might break your glue, and it's going to create a big, big mess. See, it popped right on out of me, and I have to get it back on the track. So just roll it up just enough to say peekaboo, just the tiniest bit. Okay. And then you're going to just put a little line of glue right here. This is on that middle fold. I just need a little line. I don't need too much at all. And then I'm going to glue down that fold right there, just like that. I'm going to do the same thing on this side. Just a little glue. You hardly even have to push down on a glue stick. If you're getting a lot of clumps, you might be pushing down a little too hard. Just barely touch the glue to the paper. I can see here where I could use just a little bit more glue. So I am going to put a little glue here and a little glue here. Little dab will do ya. There we go. So now this is what my page looks like, my paper. Can you see that it's starting to look like a fox a little bit? I'm going to put my lid on my glue because I don't want it to dry out. And now it's time to make our eyes and our nose. Okay.
Hey, Elizabeth.
Yes.
Before you move on to that, you mentioned something this at the beginning of class, but there was a couple of questions.
Sure.
The two were, what if they don't have origami paper? And what if they don't have the color pink for paper?
If you don't have origami paper, you can certainly use construction paper. And so this paper just came right out of the Creatology kit. So you can just use construction paper. You can use printer paper. You could even use magazine. You could use any notebook paper. The key is to make it into a square first. So at the beginning of class, I showed you how to match your two sides here. So if you have a rectangular piece of paper, you want to get it into a square. So the way you do that is to bring your corner up, meet your sides. And now you don't need this piece right here. So what you could do is you could either just cut freehand, or what you could do is just use your ruler and your pencil, and then just use your scissors to cut straight across. And then when you open this, you're going to have a square. So that's kind of the key. And this construction paper isn't too heavy. I wouldn't use tag board. That might be a little trickier. But then you can go on. Look at this giant. This is going to be a giant fox. You can go on to making your fox out of whatever you have. Isn't that fun? If you don't have pink paper, you use just whatever you have because it's your project. You can make it whatever color you want. But if you have your heart set on making a pink fox, then I would suggest just taking your square and coloring it with marker. You could color it pink. You could make pink flowers. You could take a crayon. I don't have a crayon here, but a quick way to use a crayon is by peeling off the paper and laying it flat like this. And then you could just color like using your crayon really long, and that would do the job very quickly as well. So there's lots of ideas for you if you don't have origami paper. Okay. All right, let's go ahead, and if we don't have any other questions, we'll go ahead and make our nose and eyes. So like I said, you could use a punch, a paper punch. And if you don't have a paper punch, you could use something like a bottle. You can use your glue bottle if you have a round bottle. Well, see, this one's not even working for me. Maybe it was meant to be. There we go. So it's best if you have a paper punch to turn it over like that and then punch your circle out. This is not working very well. So I guess it was meant to be that I didn't use these. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you. I'm going to use my glue bottle. And so I'm just going to trace around my glue bottle. And if you have circle punch, go ahead and use it. I did have a circle punch on the supply list. Okay, that was not a beautiful circle. Let me try that again. So all you do is just take your pencil and go around your bottle and try to keep the same angle. So you wouldn't want to lay your pencil down and then come up here and bring it straight up, because it'll give you kind of a wonky circle. But if your circle is not perfect, that's okay too, because it's your own fox. And guess what? Foxes' noses aren't perfect. So no worries if you don't have a perfect circle. Voila, look at my very unperfect circle, and it's still going to work. Okay, so you will then glue your circle right here on your little fox's face. So you're going to take your glue stick, give a little dab, put your nose right there. Now let's work on the eyes. You can use your punch. That one worked. And you can punch out. Oops, I got to do the small one for the pupils. And then the bigger one will be the white. So it's the white part of the eye and then the black part of the eye. And if you want your fox to have other colors of eyes, you can do that too. So if you do not have a circle punch, this is where you can then use a penny or a quarter. And so you're just tracing around your coin and then cutting around it. So trace, trace, trace. This is much easier to trace than the bottle. Much, much easier. So just trace around your penny and then trace around a nickel or trace around a quarter or a water bottle lid. See? And then cut these out. And then all you're going to do is put it on a white paper. And if you don't have white paper, you can just put on the black eyes just like they are if you wanted. Or if you have big googly eyes, you can put big googly eyes on. Just be creative with what you decide to use. So you can just use that if you wanted to. Okay, so I'm going to use these guys. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to glue the black part. Let me clean up my little space a little bit. I'm going to glue the black part onto the white part. So just by giving a little dab of glue there and a little dab of glue there. Now I'm going to set my black part of the eye in the middle. And you can even make yours silly. If you want to make your eyes wiggly eyes, that would be silly too. Or you can have them looking in a certain direction. Now glue down on your paper in each spot. So cute. There we go. I like her flowers. So, so cute.
I have another question for you, Elizabeth.
Yes.
What glue would you use if you use pom-poms as the nose?
I would definitely use school glue. Great question. Yes. Let's make, on my next one, do a pom-pom nose. That would be fun. Okay, I'm going to show you how to make the itty bitty ones now. Okay. So for your origami, use your origami paper. So, and if you don't have your origami paper, make your square. So remember how I taught you how to make your square and then cut it off? So make your square. And then with your big square, you're going to fold it once. So you can either bring the top down to the bottom or the bottom up to the top. Meet your corners. Make your crease. So now you have a hot dog. Now you're going to bring this corner over to this corner. Chanel, is this my right on the camera or is this my left on the camera?
That's your right.
Oh, good. Okay. It's showing up as this being my left on the camera. So when I say right, I wonder if people are like, that's your left. Okay. Well, that's great. I'm glad it's mirroring. Okay. So you're going to bring this corner over, the right corner over to the left corner. So keep going for my little kids. Keep going until you can make your match. Go, 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 go. Don't stop here. Keep going. Don't stop, don't stop, don't stop. Uh-oh, don't go past either. Come back and make your match. So this line has to meet this line. Ding, ding, ding. Now you have your match. There we go. Okay. So now what do you have? 1, 2, 3, 4 squares. So that is what's going to make our little origami box. So now take your scissors and you can just cut across on that line you just made. And if you don't have scissors, have you ever torn paper without scissors before? I'm going to show you how to do it. You just crease and crease again, and you turn it again, crease again, and before you know it, you have created a line to tear. Ta-da! So look, if you don't have scissors, you could still do this, okay? So you can either just make sure you creased it really well before tearing. Okay, so now here are my 4 papers. Look, you can have a whole classroom of boxes. Okay, so we're just going to do the same thing all over again. So this is how we started. Remember, turn to make a diamond. You're going to bring the top corner down to the bottom corner. Now, my friends who are little, my really little friends, kindergarten and younger, this might be a little trickier because it's smaller. So don't be afraid to ask for help. And these bigger ones are easier for you because your motor skills might not be there quite ready for the little foxes. Okay, so now you're going to bring this side over to this side. So bring your right corner over to the left corner. You should have an upside down triangle now. Right corner to the left corner. Make your crease, open it up. Back to your upside down triangle. Now remember, put your finger in between the 2 papers, and we're just going to create a fold. We're matching this side to this middle part. Bring it all the way until it matches. Then, and I tore it just a teeny bit, but that is totally okay. You know why? Because the nose is going to cover that. Now, bring your hand right here. Make your little crease, and there, your ear is formed. Now do it on this side. I'm going to zoom in so you can see it up close. Okay, put your finger between the 2 papers. This is the trickier side, remember? So sometimes it's easier if you turn your paper, make your match, and fold. Now, like I said, this one's a little trickier, so don't get frustrated. You can do it. Just keep trying. It's just paper after all. You can try and try again, just like the little engine that could. Keep trying. Don't give up. All right, so I liked to use the googly eyes on these little foxes. So that's what I'm going to do. But if you don't have googly eyes, you can use pom-poms, you can use sequins, you can use just the paper and just cut smaller little bits of paper. So let me get my eyes out. Did I put them back in the box? I must have. Or they're being covered by paper now. What did I do with those googly eyes? I just had them. Oh, here they are. They're being covered by this other origami fox. Okay. Oh, and guess what? I forgot to glue down. So we got to glue one strip and glue the second strip, just like that. Look, you can hardly see that I have a tear now. All right, so for your Google eyes, this is where you want to use your school glue, your craft glue here. It's called glitter and sequin glue. So I'm going to get the bigger Google eyes, but you can get any kind that you want. Your project. This is the one that I'm going to do. So I've got 2 eyes. And now, usually I've got a little dry piece there. Let me make sure it's running smoothly. So let me just put a little dab on that scrap nose. Okay. So school glue is different than other glue. It comes out very quickly. So if this is your first time using glue, you just barely push on the bottle. Just barely, just give a little dab. And now a little dab on this side, just barely push. There you go. Little dab will do ya. Now, put one Google eye here. One over here. Now, school glue or white glue takes a little time to dry. So once you put them there, they become a little slippery, but don't touch them. Let them dry. I like how they have their own personality. Look how her eye one is higher than the other. So cute. Okay, let's do a nose. How about, I'm going to do let's see, let's try the red nose. You could do a red nose. You do a purple nose. Maybe an orange. Orange is cute. I kind of think of oranges when I think of foxes. I'm going to go orange. All right. So with this, the pom-pom will soak up some of this glue. So you can put a little more, just like that. And I'm going to put the pom-pom right on it. Give it a press. And I'm not going to disturb it now. That's my silly fox with the pom-pom. Okay, are you ready for the next one? So we get to make 4. So hopefully you guys, you're starting to get how many have you made now? I'm curious. Let us know in the Q&A. Hopefully you're getting the hang of it. I think you might be. I'm going to come up higher. And we're going to start our next one.
Before you start your next one, or maybe while you're starting it, I have a couple comments to read off to you.
Okay.
So Uli, our friend Uli, who is here, they are 7. Avira from New Jersey is 5. Arjav is 6 from Texas. We have Stormy Winter Devante from Pittsburgh. Stormy Winter and Devante are 3. They're 3. Aubrey
Triplets?
says,
are they triplets?
I don't know if they're triplets, but I would assume that
preschool like or something. That's so fun.
Friends
cute.
Or siblings or.
Oh, I want to see their little foxes. So cute.
Then Aubrey said, this craft is so cute.
Oh, thanks, Aubrey.
And Kinley says, the fox ears are easier on the small one than the big one.
Oh, I'm so glad.
And then Aubrey asked, how do you make a small one with construction paper?
you are going to make it the same way, Aubrey. So remember how we cut this one and we made a square? Now you're going to bring, this has my cuts out of it because, let me pull this up a little bit more. It has my dots from the eyes punched out of it, but I'll show you. You fold it just like that, like a hot dog. And then you're going to bring the right side to the left side. Right side to the left side. Just like that. And now you have your squares. I know it's hard to see on that one. Let me try it. I'm going to show you on this one because I haven't made any on this, any folds. So remember, you bring your sides together, just like I showed you before. And if my other friends are ready to move on, please, by all means, move on. I've showed you how to make the foxes twice now. Let's see if you can remember the steps. And if not, I am going to be right there again to show you. So then
Chloe
you get rid
says
of
she
this.
has made 4 already.
Cute, Chloe. I want to see them. Oh, I'm so proud of you that you have the hang of it now. Okay, bring these bottom corners up to the top corners. The right side, bring it to the left side. There we go. Now you have your 4 squares. And then you cut them. And that's how we made. I want to know if someone can make an itty bitty one. Can someone take, maybe that'll be good for our 16-year-old. Can someone take this size square and then cut it down to another square like this? I want to know if someone can make a mini origami fox. That would be so cute. Should we try it? Would that be fun? We can try it. Okay, let's try it. We're going to make a mini one. I don't know. My hands might be too big. Let me fold it this way. So I'm going to make an itty bitty square. Oh boy. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do it, guys, but let's try. It would be certainly adorable. You know how I like Mama Bear, Papa Bear, Baby Bear. This could be the baby bear, the baby fox. I don't know. It's so little. Look at how tiny the square is. Okay, here we go. We're going to try it. Top corner down to the bottom corner. Oh boy. Now we bring this side to the next side. I've seen the cutest. I've seen people make cute little cranes, like teeny tiny. So where there's a will, there's a way. Have you ever heard that? I'm going to be like the little engine that could, and I'm just going to keep trying. Okay, now I'm going to bring this up. You guys, I think it's going to happen. Oh, my cuteness. Okay, now let's try this side. Get my finger in there. This is the tricky side for me every time. I think I can. I think I can. Okay, now I have to glue it. I cannot even get over the cuteness. Okay, let's glue it. 1, 2. Okay, now we're going to add the little tiny googly eyes. You guys, this is very exciting. Who knew you could make such tiny, tiny little origami boxes? There's the tiny eyes. Okay, now I really need a little dab, don't I? Little dab. This is pulling up a little bit, so I'm going to put a little bit of, we didn't have to do that before where we put glue underneath, but maybe because it's so tiny. Okay, now a dab. Ooh, don't you come apart. Stay put. And another dab. Tiny dabs. Oh, goodness. Let's see if I can get this tiny eye on there. I cannot handle this, you guys. So cute. Okay, let's do a nose. What do I have to make a nose? Oh, I've got a chapstick lid. Okay, I'm gonna make a tiny little nose. Get that. I think it might even have to be tinier than that. Oh yes, that's way too big. What do I have to make a tiny, tiny little, you know what you could use? I've got a paper punch. No, that's gonna be too small. Let's see. It's about the same size as the eyes. I feel like it needs to be just a touch bigger. Don't you agree? Let's see. Oh, it's so cute. I'm gonna leave it. Look at how cute it is. Who knew? A little paper hole punch. Okay, I'm not gonna use glue stick. I'm gonna use the white glue. Oh my lands. Don't you guys love tiny things? I don't know. Chanel, were you here when I did the fall foods, the fall tiny foods? That was so fun.
Yeah,
I loved that
fun.
class. All the teeny tiny things we made. Who does not like?
Kinley said she made a tiny one with you.
You made a tiny fox or the tiny foods?
She did a tiny fox. I think she might have been here for the tiny foods. I can't remember though.
Wow. Cute.
And then Brian made 2 big and then 3 small foxes. Chloe made a big orange fox. Aubrey says she's going to make 4 and post them on TikTok. And she's going to try to make a tiny one as well.
Oh my goodness. Look at the tiny one. It's the star of the show, you guys. Is that so cute? Okay, I want to do another one. This is so fun. I don't think I can go even smaller, but should we try? I really don't think I can. But let's give it a shot. I want to know if you all tried a tinier one. Unless you want me to do another big one for you. If you want me to do another big one, I'll certainly do that. Let Chanel know, because I know I've got some young friends with me. And so if you want me to do a big one, I certainly will do that for you. Let me zoom in since it's getting tinier and tinier. It's like the incredible shrinking fox. He's just shrinking. Okay.
No one had any preferences of what you do now, but Brian, Allie, and Autumn all made tiny foxes as well.
Oh, they're fast. You guys are fast. I'm so impressed. Your fingers probably work better than my fingers. Oh, this is the challenge, guys. Can you go to level 4? That's what I want to know. Level 4 challenge here. Oh, it's so cute. I don't know. Oh, this is going to be the tricky one, guys. I feel like I need a tool of some sort. I've got a skewer because I can't really put my finger between there. So let me try to use this skewer here. Oh, this is on another level of challenge. Oh, it did it. Look at that. Look, I can barely get my finger in there, but I can use the skewer. Okay, let me try this one. The skewer is the perfect thing, or a toothpick. Oh, goodness. Let's try the hard side. It's tricky because I have a little glue on my finger, so it's wanting to... Oh, it's working. You guys, look at how cute. Oh my. I'm going to use still the tiny eyes because, you know, when babies come out, they have big, big eyes. Okay. So cute. I feel like I do need to glue it down. Okay, there's one eyeball. And here's the other eyeball. So look, we came from this big guy and look at how little we're going now.
Kinley said she made the itty bitty one as well.
And she beat me. Kinley, you were amazing. Wow. Look, I can barely, I gotta use the wet glue. I can't get in there with the glue stick. And I think at this size is where you tap out. Like, I don't know that you could get any smaller than this size. Ooh, see, this is tricky because it doesn't really stay down. Oh, and there's that end coming up too. Okay. Tiny, tiny bit of glue. Can you guys see okay? I can come in. I can zoom in even more. I need to put the tiniest amount of glue under here because it's popping up. Yep. I bet you kiddos are not even using a skewer. I bet you can get your little fingers under there just fine. Put that down. Oh, it's so cute. Okay, eyeballs. Let's see, are the eyes going to take up the whole space? I have to do the, uh-oh, I've got an air bubble. Okay. Got to hold on with the skewer. 1, 2. Why do I feel the need to hold my breath while I do this? Okay, let's put on the little eyeballs. It looks like more of a mess, but we'll see if I can do it. Oh, my lands, the eyeballs are taking up the whole box. Cute. Looks like a cartoon fox. So cute. Oh my. Okay, I'm going to do the same nose with the hole punch. It's like the little spiders that I did 2 weeks ago. They had big eyes on a little tiny spider. Now, where did it go? I think it came in here. Let's try again. Okay. Oh, there it is. It got stuck in the paper. Okay. Now we'll put his tiny little nose. I just can hear him talking in a cute little voice, can't you? Okay, this is cuteness on another level. Oh, made his eye slide. See how his little personality changed as soon as his eye moved? Let's bring them closer together. Here we go. So cute. Okay, so we've got big guy. We've got, well, I made this one in class. Then we did this one with the cotton or the pom-pom, and then we did this one. Then we did this one. So cute. Okay, let's do one more big one, and then we got to call it a day. Let's do one big one, and you can show me all your teeny tinies. Look at how little. Oh, you know what I should do, you guys? Look, for scale, here's the penny. Here's the fox. It's as big as a penny. So cute. That is just cute. Okay, so let's do one more big one. And then we're going to wrap it up. I'm going to choose, I think I'm going to make I just want to do a green fox just to change up the color. Okay. Ooh, that's a pretty paper. So remember to fold it in half. You guys get the idea now. There we go. Oh, what did I do? You would think I had the idea. No, I forgot to turn it into a diamond first. Diamond. There we go. And then fold your upside down triangle. Bring this corner to this corner. Give it a fold. Oh, this is like easy breezy now after doing that tiny one. Ooh, I love this paper. It's so pretty. Okay, then bring this side over. Oops, I didn't realize I was out of the shot. Sorry about that, guys. Bring this side over. Make a match with that middle line. I want to know how my little kiddos are doing. This is pretty challenging for little fingers. My under fives. Okay, now glue. Glue. Press. And press. What a pretty. This one's so pretty. Okay, now we're doing our eyes. And let's see if I can get my punch to work again. I might not. It's okay. Let's do. Try this one. These are very, very old punches. I should have bought a new one. This one got paper stuck in it. Okay. So I'll do this side. No, this one's not going to work for me. We'll do a little, big, big. And then glue. The eyes on. I want to know what you guys are using for your templates, your eye templates. Who use something other than a glue stick lid, water bottle lid, or coins. Could put a bow in their hair. That would be cute. The eyes on. And now we just have a nose to make. And what will I do my nose? I could put this here too. There's so many. That's about the same size as that one though. Or you could do oh, we didn't do one with the foam. I could do a foam nose. Do that green, orange. Could do any of those. Do like a black nose too, though. But I'll do the green just so you can see the other options. Look at how easy that is. Just peels right off. And it's a sticker. And so you just put that sticker right on the tip of the nose there. There we go. All right. Little Foxy Loxy wins. Okay, we are good to go. We have made several little fox friends and had a very good time. I hope you had a great time too. I know I did. Okay, I'm going to switch around. And let me show you. Oh, please don't forget to find us and tag us. So at Learn with Michaels, and you can find me, your adult can find me at La Cozy Casita. I want to see your teeny tiny fox. Okay, let me switch around so I can say goodbye. Okay. Wasn't that fun? I love it. Look at how teeny tiny. My earrings are bigger than that fox. Look. So cute. Well, and then here's our big fox. So fun. Okay. Well, thanks for joining me. We have, I am teaching paper pumpkins next class, I believe. which is another fun paper craft. It's making all of these circles, and we're going to make it into a 3D pumpkin. And then we're going to put real sticks in it as stems. I have some back there on my shelf. That's coming up. I have quite a bit of things coming up that I'm really excited about. So you'll have to check the app. And I thought we had one more. I don't have my little schedule with me, but check the app. Everything's there. And so I hope you had a great time today. I know I did, and I can't wait to see your finished product. So please let me know if you had a good time. And I think if that's it, then we're ready to end. So thank you so much for joining me. Thank you for trying new things, new challenging things. This was something new and challenging for me too. I tried something, and I'm telling you the truth, I was a little nervous it wasn't going to turn out, but that's how you learn and grow, by learning new things, trying new things, and taking new challenges. So I'm really proud of you. All right, we'll see you next time. Have a good night. Bye.